Tony proved something through his own actions. He is absolutely not a coward hiding behind his suit. Sure, Cap never missed a chance to dig at him, but when the engine got blown out by Hawkeye and they were all about to crash and burn, Tony still suited up without a second thought and risked his life to get the propeller going again. The ship stopped falling, but he couldn't keep up with the spinning blades and got caught in them. Hawkeye above watched the whole thing go down, and as for why he turned on his teammates, that story starts with the Tesseract, because not long before all this, stumbled onto a mysterious cube. They brought in the brightest scientists from around the world, but none of them could figure it out. And just when Fury was completely stumped, the cube suddenly let out a strange blue glow. A pillar of energy shot up out of nowhere and tore open a wormhole right in front of them. Then with a bang, Loki materialized out of thin air. Fury tried to open a dialogue with him, but Loki just fired off a blast of energy and launched his attack. Those soldiers in his way couldn't last more than 3 seconds each, and even Hawkeye, Clint Barton himself, got grabbed by Loki and then had his mind taken over completely. Fury saw what was happening and grabbed the cube to run, but Hawkeye raised his hand and shot him, then casually walked out, making sure to activate the wormhole above on his way out. Sure enough, once Loki was airborne in the helicopter, the entire base blew up. The ground started caving in all at once, watching years of work go up in smoke. Fury swore he'd make Loki pay for this. He took his helicopter right above the enemy and opened fire, but the bullets didn't do a thing, and his tail rotor got hit instead. He was lucky enough to bail just in time, but watching Loki just stroll away scot-free, Fury knew the Avengers initiative couldn't wait any longer, so Coulson immediately reached out to Black Widow, who at that moment was facing off against 3 big guys. Her hands and feet were all tied up, but that didn't slow her down one bit. She had all 3 of them handled in no time flat, grabbed her heels and walked right out. Her mission was to head to a civilian area and bring in DR Banner, who was lying low there, because the gamma energy signature from the Tesseract could only be detected by someone who'd been the Hulk. Banner wanted nothing to do with any of this at first, but once Black Widow gave him an ultimatum, he reluctantly agreed to come on board. Meanwhile, Fury tracked down Steve Rogers, still deep in grief over losing his old friends. Every punch he threw was harder than the last, and then the next second, Fury handed Cap the briefing materials and asked him to join the Avengers. Cap figured it was just another routine gig, but when he saw the intel about the Tesseract inside, he agreed on the spot without even blinking. Tony also got a call from Coulson. He tried to have Jarvis cook up some excuse to dodge it, but right after he took the suit off, Coulson showed up in person and brought a whole bunch of strange footage with him. Seeing those monstrous things on screen, Tony finally understood how serious this really was. At the same time, Loki showed up at a gala in a suit and cracked someone over the head right away, then coolly pinned the bald guy against the wall and pulled out an eyeball scanner, while Hawkeye quietly slipped into the vault and back. As the data streamed in, they remotely cracked open this retinal secured vault and walked away with exactly what they needed to power the Tesseract. Loki then switched into a slick suit of armor and appeared in front of the crowd in an instant, seeing the whole place descend into chaos. The next second, one cat call and everyone dropped to their knees, and Loki just soaked it all in. But right as he was about to go after the old man in front of him, Cap came dropping out of the sky and used the ricochet impact to knock Loki flat. Then the two of them went at it. Even though Loki is a sorcerer, he held his own in hand-to-hand just as well as Cap. Even when Steve threw everything he had at him, he still ended up getting tossed across the room. Luckily, Tony rolled in just in time and put Loki down with a repulsor blast, making quite the entrance while he was at it. Outnumbered and outgunned, Loki had to settle for a temporary surrender. But while they were transporting him, Cap had a nagging feeling something was off. He didn't buy that Loki would just give up that easily. Tony thought Steve was overthinking it, and right while they were going back and forth, dark storm clouds rolled in out of nowhere, and a figure came crashing down from above. Tony clocked it and immediately switched into fight mode. He'd barely gotten the hatch open when Thor came in and hammered him clean out of the jet, then grabbed Loki and launched himself skyward. Feeling completely disrespected, Tony took off after him without hesitation, and Cap strapped on a parachute and followed right behind. Once they all made it down to the ground, looking at this troublemaking little brother of his, Thor still hoped Loki would hand over the Tesseract and come back to Asgard with him. But Loki made it clear that was never going to happen. He was done with Odin, completely done. That set Thor off instantly, and just as he was about to bring the hammer down, and just like that, they all crashed into the forest. Watching Thor act all high and mighty, Tony decided to open his mouth. You stole a curtain to use as a cape. Does your mom know about that? That sent Thor through the roof. He threatened to tear Tony's big mouth apart and hurled his hammer at him. He knocked Tony flying all right, but accidentally ate a repulsor blast himself. And one kick later, the whole fight was over.